It's BBC Essex. It's, now let me work this out, 24 minutes to 8 o'clock. Always once it goes past that, I was like that till about 1:45 and then I'm fine. Will you be sitting down at the table for a family meal this evening? Is it a thing you do? Do you all sit down together? And will you set the table with a tablecloth? Well, apparently if you do, you will be in the minority. John Lewis has seen a 10% drop in the sales of all tablecloths, from white linen to more novel designs. So are tablecloths on their way out? When do you ever buy a tablecloth? I always used to buy one when I was coming back from my holiday for my mum. I always bought her a tablecloth. Well, Grant Harrold knows a thing or two about the formal appeal of a tablecloth, as he has served the Queen as a royal butler and is an etiquette expert and only joins me now. Good morning to you, Grant.
Good morning, Sadie.
Wow, this sounds mad. The Queen, you've served the Queen. I'm talking to you.
Well, yes, a few times. I feel a bit quite privileged to have actually, actually looked after her and several members of her family over the years. Is when I worked for the Prince of Wales.
Oh, well, you work for the Prince of Wales. I love the way you just dropped that in. Charlie, work for Charlie. And would they always use a tablecloth? I'm sure she would, wouldn't she?
I would hope every good household would use a tablecloth, but you've got me having a panic attack this morning at this news that it's becoming a minority. I must be one of the minority now, which is terrifying, to think that fewer and fewer people are using tablecloths.
Now, do you use a tablecloth and then after a meal you take it off the table, or is it one of those things that just stay on until it's dirty?
I'm quite formal. I tend to kind of use a tablecloth. I mean, I won't just replace it after one use unless somebody spills something. I'll probably use it maybe 2 or 3 times. But I do, every time I have a dinner or breakfast, I always use a tablecloth because I think it just adds something to the table. Unless you've got a very finely polished table, it just gives it something special. And I was saying to somebody the other day that if you've got some, I know we don't all have silver, but if we've got some silver or brass or anything on the table, even glass candlesticks, there's something about the way the light reflects off the cloth, and it just looks really nice and very elegant.
I love a white tablecloth as well. I've never really got into patterns or to colours. What does the Queen have? Does she have coloured ones, bright colour? Does she have those vinyl ones you can wipe down?
I think you've probably seen from state dinners and things. They're very normal, very plain, and that's the important bit. Is people forget that you always think you've got to go and spend a lot of money to get a tablecloth, and yes, you can. But my little secret is I actually have had some of my tablecloths from car boot sales and charity shops, and you walk in and you find some of the finest linen, and it's a shame because these things were family hand-me-downs, the little heirlooms that will pass to generation to generation, and unfortunately we're at that point where the younger generation doesn't really want it.
It's a shame, isn't it? But everything seems to go full circle, doesn't it? I always find that what's fashionable one minute is completely the opposite the next.
It does. The only thing that worries me is I just hope we never bring back the tradition where the tablecloth originally was what we used to use to wipe our hands and mouths on. And I think if I saw that happen again at a dinner table, I'd probably ask for the smelling salts if suddenly I saw somebody wiping their hands on the tablecloth or something. But originally that's what we used to do in the medieval times.
Really? What sort of lift up the edge of it and have a wipe?
Well, there was 3 cloths on the table, and one of them was actually for dabbing, hopefully dabbing, not so much wiping the mouth. Even at one point, there was even some water nearby. So it shows you how it's evolved. But thankfully today, the tablecloth isn't hopefully used for that purpose. But you never know. I suppose if you've got some very young children, they might want to bring back that tradition.
And can I ask you, because I had friends over recently, and I know that they're called different things. I call them serviettes, but you can call... Oh, it's not, is it? Oh, what have I done wrong?
Nothing. Absolutely fine. What time can I leave? Basically, it's napkin. You never call it a serviette. It's always napkin. Even paper napkins, which have been around for thousands of years as well. It's always paper or linen napkins. Serviette's more something you probably class that goes over your arm, not something you'd use to dab your mouth.
See, I'm loving all this. I'm loving this. Now, do I shove them in the glass and fold them out, or do I put them on the side with the knife and forks on, or do I put them at the side, or do I put them on the plate? What do I do with them?
Shove them in the glass. That's I'm sure that's lovely for the local KFC. But if you're in a very, if we're in a very fine kind of smart establishment, I think it'd be much nicer to have it folded. And I'm sure I can help you out, Sadie. I've actually got a few videos online that I initially put for a bit of fun, and I'm now finding that people through social media are finding these videos. And to my absolute, I was absolutely thrilled with this. A young girl, 10-year-old girl, saw one of my videos of how I lay a table and how I fold a napkin, and her very proud mum sent me a picture and a message via Twitter showing me that her daughter had put a white cloth on the table, she had folded the napkins, and I felt really proud because I thought this is exciting for me because it means that the younger generation are interested in how to do things properly.
Well, some of them. Let's be
Some of them.
honest. I can't think my niece and nephew up in uni are folding up napkins to put next to their food.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure secretly you don't realise it. There's probably a secret mission going on up there.
Now, I feel quite honoured as well because my mum was a waitress and she used to work in top class hotels like the Dorchester, and so she would have to lay up tables, and
Yes.
we just had tables. She would lay up the table properly when we had a meal, and we would have starters, and we knew which ones to pick up. Are people losing that now as well? Because I do notice that some people, if you do lay a table properly, or if you go into a good hotel, a good restaurant, and they lay you up properly, it's like, where do I start from? You know, we're losing it, aren't we?
It's really strange because I feel very lucky that, as you mentioned earlier, the job that I do, I've gone from being obviously a royal butler, moving into training people in how to behave in the etiquette circles or royal etiquette. And it's fascinating because we get a whole array of people, all sorts of ages, all sorts of backgrounds, that will come along to learn about how to hold the cup, how to hold the glass, which cutlery to use. And it's extraordinary that people want to still learn this. And people kind of have an idea of what to do. They do have an idea that you start on the outside and work your way in, but they just want to be exact about it. And I'm sure, as you know, I run these courses in London and Bristol and at Blenheim Palace, and we have people come along and we do these fun. I quickly add fun because I think people come along expecting it to be very cloak and very kind of serious, and there's not so much humour in it. But we make sure it's a fun, enjoyable experience. We pass on these traditional values.
Because I often see when and I spoke to someone recently. I'm racking my brain as to think who they were, and it was a company who get employed by some big people in the city, some bankers and that, to teach the apprentices there how to eat properly because they have a funny way of holding knives and forks, the youngsters, and they said it's so important that when they take our clients out, they know how to eat properly and which to pick up and how to do it properly, how to cheers, everything.
It's true, Sadie. I mean, the amount of times that I've gone out to a restaurant, and there's nothing worse, and I know you'll agree with me on this one, there's nothing worse than sitting opposite somebody who basically looks like a cement mixer and probably doesn't realise any better. And you want to go up to them and say, "May I assist you?" But you can't. And then you see people put the cutlery down as if the plate's going to roll itself off the table, as I call it, oars. And people don't know, and it's rude of me. It would be rude of me to go up and say to somebody you're doing it wrong, because why are they doing it wrong? Because maybe that's how they've always done it in their own
Yeah.
house, which I always say, in your own home, you're king or queen of the castle and you should do things as you want. All I'm doing is just showing a universal way of doing things, a traditional way that's
The
been
way the
taught.
Queen does it.
The way the queen does it, exactly.
Exactly.
So, and what a
Finally.
better role model.
Finally, restaurants are also getting rid of tablecloths. I mean, do you worry we're losing our tablecloth dining etiquette here?
Can I have a name of the restaurants? I can see a few letters going off this afternoon. This is really what worries me. I have been to restaurants and I have seen these tablecloths disappear, and it's sad because to me, I know they're trying to be modern and they're probably trying to be super clean, but it just takes away the whole atmosphere, and it changes it. It changes how you feel about when you go out to a restaurant. And I'm hoping that this is just a little blip. I'm just hoping that, for some reason we're having a mad 5 minutes, and in a few minutes later we'll return back to normality, and order will be restored.
Well, I thank you so much for joining us. Grant Harrold, what's the name of your website where you can check you out?
It's very easy. It's theroyalbutler.co.uk. So look up
Fantastic.
theroyalbutler.co.uk, and it's the same on my social media, Twitter and Facebook, and people can find out information about me
I
there.
better check out those napkins and where I should be putting them and not stuffing them in a glass. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Sadie.
Grant Harrold. Wasn't that interesting? I love all stuff like that, don't you? Learning stuff like that. It's great. I'm going to check it out.